Hello everybody, we're going to go ahead and get into a nice little strategy video. We're going to be watching Dante, who is the blue Zer in the top right. He's going up against Kai, red Terra in the bottom right. He's not going to be our main focus. Our main focus is going to be straight on Dante because this is a video that is going to be detailing a very nice strategy for Zer centered around going towards the late game. We're going to be making sure that you can get out Infestors after a 15 hatch and then go into basically a solid way in getting that Hive Tech, which is kind of passive, but it's still pretty good. So hope you guys can go ahead and learn, and we're going to just go ahead and do a complete overview of the build. Alright, so now we bring the mini map back for you, and basically what we're going to be doing in this build is setting up for Hive Tech. That is literally the goal. It is simply get out Hive Tech. And you can do it in a few different ways. We're going to see you do have this standard nice build order at the start, which just goes for the 9 Overlord. You scout at 12, which is a very, very important aspect of the build because you do want to shut down the possibility of your Terran opponent 2-raxing. If you know they're 2-raxing, you can go ahead and prepare accordingly, but if they're not 2-raxing and going for the standard reactor to Hellion expansion, or a form of which we can easily do the strategy. So it starts off with a 15 hatch, go for your spawning pool also in 15, and you get an 18 extractor, 17 overlord, which times out very, very nicely for getting out your extra supply for when your hatcheries finish. You can get out your queens, and you can start mining your gas to prep for your metabolic boost, lair, and everything. However, just note in this game, we're going to see Dante showing the versatility of ways you can get into the mid and later parts of the strategy by going for the Spinishua opener, where you get your gases much later on after you have your 2 bases pretty much saturated. And he goes for 4 queens, which is a beautiful thing to do, so you can make sure that you're good against surprise things like banshees, and gives you ability to transfuse, and early aggression can sometimes be a little bit weaker when you do have those extra queens. Plus you can spread creep, which is a very important part of this strategy as well. Because this is a very passive strategy, vision, scouting, everything can be a little bit of an issue at times. So that's one of the reasons why you do want to spread creep when you do this, as you really, really need to make sure that you can know if you're going to get attacked. Because as you can see right now, we're just going to look at the fact that we have our observer skills, and we can easily see that the gas is being taken. If you're going to be playing, you're going to need to try to confirm this, and one of the best things you can do is actually search around for that gas. Dante did send out that fast early drone, and you see that he confirmed the gas is going down, so he knows that there is no 2-racks that will be attacking him. So right now everything's looking to be pretty solid. You see the queen starting right when that spawning pool completes, which is so key. And there's that nice timing with the overlords and the spawning pool finishing and the hatchery finishing. It looks very, very clean. Unfortunately, the scouting FCV will actually manage to escape, but that's okay. So as you can see, normally you do want to research the metabolic boost pretty quickly. It's okay in this stage that Dante is not, because it's just the fact that he has no gas, and he went for a slight variation on the opener itself. But one of the couple things to realize is that Hellions are very good at controlling the map in the early parts of the game. So Dante is going to need to wait a little bit, go for 2 bases, and you'll notice that he'll be getting his lair on these 2 bases before he can actually get out his 3rd, which is simply because he can't really push out against the Hellions that will be coming down from the opponent. So that's perfectly normal. The great thing about this build is that this lets you be safe even with getting out a slower 3rd, because you will have Infestors, you will be having Burrow. You can easily do a lot of aggressive movements with this once you have the infrastructure, but until you get the infrastructure down, you are quite passive. So things like creep spread, vision, overlord spread are very, very, very important for making sure that you're just going to be safe. Throughout the game, you're going to want to do things like Ling Rumbys and infested Terran harass with burrowed infestors, which is a pretty difficult thing to really get down, but you can get the hang of it as you start practicing. And now we're going to start seeing Dante getting into the stages where he's going to start going for his tech. He's pretty much been droning this entire time, and we have the couple extractors now going inside the main base, so he'll be able to start getting his lairs, metabolic boost, and proceed into the mid game. But now that we are getting past the point of the 22 food mark, we can easily start moving in. Ooh, that's the wrong button. We can easily start moving in and checking out what the next stages are going to be. His spine crawlers are quite nicely placed, and we see that around the 40, in the mid 40 food count, you're normally going to be getting your second 2 extractors, and you'll see that Dante's going for his third one right now. And the thing is, the second 2 extractors are actually getting into the count of 3, because at the start of the build order, you normally get that 1 extractor. So Dante is right now sitting perfectly on the 3 extractor count. He'll be getting out his lair, his baneling nest, and looking to be quite solid and entrenched for the earlier parts of this game. So macro hatches down when he's got the money, which is great because you need to remember that Zerglings are very, very intensive on larva. That's literally what they're the most expensive in. So now you can see the Hellions are going to try and be annoying. They're going to succeed in killing down a creep tumor. That's okay though, because we have the extra queens to continue spraying that creep, because that vision is oh so important. Back to the Lings. You're going for a Ling Infestor style. This requires very little minerals but a lot of larva. Therefore you need to make sure to increase your larva capacity beyond that of the normal 2 hatcheries, even only on 2 bases. So you can use all your Lings for getting down your extra amounts of all the larvae for getting down your extra amounts of Lings. So the baneling nest is going down, and one of the things that you also really need are upgrades for this style. Upgrades are incredibly important for your Lings and your Infestors and your choice of Hive Tech, because you need to remember that you're gearing towards the late game, so you need to be as strong in the late game as possible while surviving during the mid game, which requires upgrades. And the great thing about the melee attack upgrades and the carapace upgrades is that they literally help both Ultralisks and Broodlords, so no matter what, they will be useful. When you get down those attack upgrades for the melee units, you will be able to benefit the Broodlings, which are the main source of DPS for the Broodlords, which is really, really powerful. All intros is self-explanatory. Alright, so there's a couple other things that you need to do is in terms of scouting. When your lair is complete, get down that Overseer. Make sure you have an Overseer so you can scout. We can see how Dante's doing a good job of getting this Overseer. He'll be able to run it in and scout some more of what Kai is going for. A little note about this build also is that it's versatile even if your opponent goes for mech. If your opponent mechs, you can quite easily just get down a Roach Warren and continue to produce just roaches, because roaches are very, very good against mech. You'll have the possibility to even go for Neural Parasite with the Infestors, and when you Neural Parasite half of the Thoris in your opponent's mech army, that's quite powerful and gives you a lot of damage output, and it lets you pretty much take no losses while your opponent takes heavy losses. The timing of the third base is really, really tough on this particular map because you do have to take down those rocks. So ideally you'd have this a little bit before, but no shame at all in getting it down before the 11-minute mark. That is perfectly acceptable. Your economy will still be quite strong, as you can always just work on transferring your drones. Keep in mind that your great and perfect count of drone count is actually 16 on the minerals and then 3 on each gas. So Dante is basically there as of right now. We can see how his main is actually perfect because they do have 1 drone selected in that extractor. And take a look at this too. Drops are very powerful, so what you want to do actually is spread out your spines, spores, and infestors. When your infestors are done, by the way, be sure to build them when your patching glands is past 30 seconds completion, so they pop with the ability to cast a fungal growth. And if you do that, spread 2 to each base, you'll be able to stop drops pretty efficiently. Your Lings will have time to get there because build a fungal and stop the Terran. And if Terran does a push down the front, you've got knowledge. You've got the creep and you have vision of the watchtower, so you know its attack is coming. And you can use that knowledge to go ahead and defend against drops, as you'll be able to realize if the drops are coming or not based on the size of the army that you scout. So right now, we do see Dante has already rallied drones to the mineral patch and spreading creep rather nicely. And this is going to be the interesting situation of the game. As Kai is now pushing out, we see he is very heavy on the Marines and tanks. And Dante is got his nice count of Infestors out. So we see how right now is going to be prepared already to do some nice harassment. Look at this. Very nice fungals. It says 2 fungals will be more than enough to take down the Marines. And we see that is a nice clump of Marines now dead. Okay, and unfortunately we're going to see this gas fall, and looks like we actually have this. Wow, that's actually a very, very dead Overlord. Alright, so now there we have them coming in. He's able to move in, and with a very nice angle of engagement, he just strolls on in and gets a full surround with Lings and just decimates his attack very, very nicely. So Dante's controlling his Ling Infestor quite well. I do want to actually just spend 1 second to just talk about that little bit of a battle, because that was actually a very, very hard position for Terrence, for Zerg to deal with, as Terrence can do this quite easily. And this Infestor Ling style is perfect for dealing with it, because we have the very mobile and powerful Zerglings. Notice they do have the carapace upgrade that does make them die to 2 shots instead of 1 shot from siege tanks in siege mode. And the banelings here is great, obviously, because they will detonate, explode, and do a lot of damage. So Kai's position is quite strong. He's got the Lynx, he's got the Marines. The fungal here was pivotal